Hello everyone, welcome to the Sound of Sergey episode 9. I am your gay Russian host, Sergey Ivanov. I'm not actually gay, but that's an inside joke from last episode. I'm your host, Sergey Ivanov, broadcasting live from CHAZ. That's right, right now at the moment I am in Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. I am currently getting shot at by some transgendered 28-year-old pink-haired, short-haired lady wearing fake glasses larger than my home continent of Russia itself. That is just to set the scene. I am currently at CHAZ. I don't agree with the message, but they don't believe in money, so I can get mozzarella sticks for free, and that's really why I'm here at CHAZ. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to The Sound of Sergey. If there's one thing I hate, and this may be a hot topic, because I know that like a good 3 females listen to this podcast. No, but this is something that I see that this is something I've observed. This is something that I've seen in my life. I've witnessed this with my own 2 ambiguously colored eyes, because my eyes have, because one second they look blue, the other they look green, and in sunlight they look gray. We straight up just put brown on my driver's license. That's what they say on my driver's license, that my eyes are brown. I've seen this with my own 2 eyes in my life, and I will tell you, because this is a podcast, I don't show things, I tell you what exactly I have observed. And this is just an observation I've seen just in passing. You know, you'll be talking to a friend, specifically a female friend, and you'll see them in this state, and you'll just think to yourself, There are times in life when you have situations where it's going normally, and then something gets said, something is done, something gets brought up, and you don't say anything, you don't make a big deal about it, you don't make a big fuss about it to them, you don't mention it, but you think to yourself after it happens, you go, and you sort of make a mental note of it. This happens to me when I'm developing my Sergey theories. Because every now and then I will develop Sergey theories, and these are my theories about how the world works. They have no evidence to back them up. They're basically just anecdotal stories that I have that support my beliefs about the world. So if I'm working on a Sergey theory, and then I'm in a social situation that applies to that Sergey theory, I'll take note of it and be like, interesting, and I'll tick right on the check box, and I will put that into my Sergey theory. My Sergey theory is that something I've realized is that women without makeup look like men in the face. And before you say that I'm biased because I am a man and I don't wear makeup, I do wear makeup, so I know where it's coming from. I've been on both sides of the river. I have for a long time not worn makeup, and I also have for a long time worn makeup. So I think I am very fit to say in both directions what each is like. Also, to all the women who complain about wearing makeup, shut up. Because I wear makeup anytime I go out. And obviously because of, quarantine and everything, I'm not going out at all. But whenever I go out, I put on makeup because I like to look nice. And also when I don't wear makeup, I look like a red pimply monster from Sesame Street. So I choose to wear makeup. And to all the women who complain that it's a lot of work to wear makeup, that it's a lot of work to put on makeup and uphold that look. No, it isn't. And I have that experience because I do wear makeup. There are times when, like, hey, Sergey, can you come with me and lift the water bottles at Rural King? We're going to go to the grocery store. We're going to go to the grocery store for 5 minutes to get bottles of water because my mom can't lift anything heavier than 5 pounds, apparently. So we will go to Rural King for 5 minutes to the grocery store, and I will put on makeup for that. And so my words to all the females out there complaining about, oh, it's so hard to wear makeup. No, it isn't. I look awesome. And again, I'm being very humble when I'm coming from a place of humility when I say this. I look gorgeous. I look supermodel sexy. After just 15 or so simple minutes from beginning to end of putting on makeup on my face. That is considering that I'm Asian, well, Turkish Asian, Russian, Chuvash. Considering that I'm part Asian, and when you're Asian and you live in America, that means you have the worst acne in the history of mankind. So you have a lot more to cover up. I see girls who have a completely clear face. And I understand if you still want to wear makeup and you have a clean face, but I see girls who have a completely clear face and they put on makeup, but then they look at me without makeup. And again, I look like a pimply monster from the Twilight Zone. And they look at me and they go, "You don't need makeup, Sergey." And I go, "Yes, I do. Because I look like a pimply monster from Looney Tunes." What on earth was I talking about? Oh yeah, my new Sergey theory is that women, when they don't wear makeup, just look like guys in the face. Which You want to talk about how stupid I am? Yes, Sergey, people who are of the same species look like each other. Thank you very much for that insightful observation. You're welcome, world. Give me the Nobel Peace Prize, or Nobel Science Prize, whatever they gave Albert Einstein when he invented electricity. All right. Oh, by the way, I'm about to drop some advice to young men of the world. And this is advice that is going to be interpreted as weird or strange. And women aren't going to like it, but they won't like it because it exposes their lies when they do this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give young men, or even older men, a way to tell if a woman is lying in a certain situation. And that situation is, to give you context, the other day I was having a conversation with a friend who is a female, as far as I know. No, she's a female, and she was telling me I'm about to go on my period. Which, by the way, I don't know why you would just say that out. It's not like we were building up to that. I was like, "Hey, did you hear that story about Iran?" And she was like, "By the way, I'm on my period." And I'm like, "Thanks for telling me." She tells me this. I'm like, all right, whatever. But I make a mental note. And I always do this because when women tell men when they're on their period, they're making a big mistake because that's opening the doors to expose themselves to being found out. And they're exposing themselves in this way. This is going to sound kind of weird and kind of strange, but men do this and it will save you so much trouble. And you will also look like a complete jerk when you do it. But you're in the right, I promise. When a female tells you that she's on her period, make a mental note. I was like, all right, today's the 15th. All right, she's on her period on the 15th. So about every 15th, female A is on her period. By almost every female I know, post-pubescent and pre-menopause, basically on their period. Every female I know who has told me, I have been close enough where that information would be shared, who has told me that they're on their period, has also lied to me about when they're on their period. Specifically, girlfriends. Girlfriends will lie to you about being on the period a lot. And that's where you bring in the mental note of, I don't think so. It's the 28th and you start on the 9th, so I don't think so. I ain't buying this. You will be able to stop lies, so many lies, dead in their tracks with your girlfriend if you just make that mental note. Anyway, now that I've talked about that, I'd like to tell you my solution to the financial crisis in the United States of America. And you might be asking, Sergey, how are you qualified for this? And my answer is because I don't have a job. And most people would say, Sergey, that makes you less qualified, but actually it makes me more qualified because I'm being objective about things. Here is the Sergey way to solve the debt crisis in America. And it is quite simply to just print more money, but, and there's a big but, like a Cardi B sized but, attached to the sentence. Because I'm sure the minute you heard me say the way to solve the debt crisis is to print more money, I'm sure the first thing you thought was, Sergey, that's a terrible idea. We're going to go into the Great Depression just like Germany did, and then Nazis are going to rise up. And we don't want to have Nazis killing people, which is very true. I don't want Nazis to kill people either, which is why there's a big giant but attached to that sentence. So what happens when you print money? Here's the timeline of what it is. Let's say America is $26 trillion in debt, which it is. Which, by the way, $3 trillion mysteriously disappeared and was never accounted for 2 days before 9/11. Not saying anything happened there, but I'm just saying, hey, that's really suspicious that 2 days before 9/11, that $3 trillion of America's money just dropped off the face of the earth and was never accounted for. And also, the part of the Pentagon that was investigating that was the exact part that the plane landed on in Washington. But I digress. So let's say America's $26 trillion in debt, and you want to not be in debt anymore. So you go, all right, we'll just print $20 trillion. We'll just print trillion-dollar bills and make 20 of them, and it's very simple. We can hand it over in one cash grab. But the problem with that is most of the time is that leads to inflation, which will cause a new Nazi regime, and you don't want a new Nazi regime. So you have to find out, all right, how do we print money without causing inflation? Here's the thing many people don't realize about inflation. Inflation is caused by the stock market. And the stock market is based on the overall amount of money that is known to be out there. So if the people who run the stock market know that they just printed 20 trillion more dollars, new Nazi regime. So you don't want that. But that is if the people running the stock market and controlling the prices of stuff know about the money. So here's the Sergey way to solve debt. Print the $20 trillion, but do it secretly. Like Donald Trump calls up Fort Knox and is like, hey, can you print me $26 trillion? And they're like, yeah, sure. Any special instructions? He goes, yeah, you know how you would normally make an Instagram story about it? This time don't do it, and don't make sure there's a real tight lid on the fact that you're printing $26 trillion. No one can know that $26 trillion just magically came into existence. No one can know about that. So print the $26 trillion and hide them in a suitcase, and then bury the suitcase under a Best Buy in Toledo, Texas, and don't let anyone know about it. So $26 trillion just got gained by the government, but the stock market, people don't know about it, so none of the prices go cheap. Egalistreichen, new Nazi regime. So that doesn't happen. So all you have to do is print all those trillions of dollars, but do it secretly. So that doesn't cause the inflation boost. And then all of a sudden, the government can take that secret money and pay off China, and boom, Donald Trump goes, ladies and gentlemen, we no longer have debt. We actually are owed money by every country in the whole world, including Puerto Rico. Our national deficit is literally negative $1 trillion. People owe us money. Apple can pay us. China can pay us. And also, the Bilderberg people can pay us, even though I'm part of the Bilderberg clan. That's what's going to happen. So that's how to solve debt the Sergey way. Unrelated to solving debt is blind people. Specifically, blind people who grill food. Usually when you grill things, you're grilling meat. And recently, my father has taken up smoking. And I don't mean the buying fake Cuban cigars from Barbecue on the River for $2 and they're really bad. Not that kind of smoking. Not the kind of smoking where you go into the Quick Stop and ask for a pack of Marlboros and they don't have any, so you have to get the next best thing. And then you develop lung disease and then you die at the age of 69. I'm not talking about that kind of smoking. I'm talking about my dad bought a smoker to smoke meat. And so pretty much every meal that we've had meat at our house has been smoked meat. We've had smoked brisket, smoked pork loin, smoked pork shoulder, smoked chicken breast. We even had smoked hamburgers the other day. So we have enjoyed a lot of smoked meat. And by the way, smoked meat is just all around delicious. So he has taken that up, but also he doesn't just know that information on how to make smoked cheeseburgers off the top of his head. Because if he tried to do it off the top of his head, we would probably get salmonella. This is also like a side note. I was out there with him, talking to him while he was smoking some pork loin. And he was like, so when you smoke pork loin, what you have to do is, there are different temperatures that meats have to get to before you can eat them. Chicken has to be 168, and pork has to be 145. And I go, well, what about beef? And he goes, well, if you really wanted to, you could eat beef raw. Which I don't believe is true. I don't recommend you get into your ground beef cabinet. I don't recommend you get into your refrigerator, get the ground beef, and start shoveling it in your face, because you're probably going to die. And I don't want to get sued for that, because I don't have the money for that. The most I can give you is the free mozzarella sticks from CHAZ. That's the most I can pay you off in. If I can somehow attain $1 million worth of mozzarella sticks from Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, I can pay you off in that way. But other than that, I cannot give you cash money. I cannot give you a rain check. I cannot give you assets. So don't sue me because you got salmonella because you ate raw ground beef, because my dad said you could, because I don't think you can. So he does not know this information on his own. So he has to go on to YouTube to find out, all right, how do I smoke meat? How do I cook this meat properly on a smoker to give the best flavor, the most juicy, fat, thick, and tender piece of meat that I possibly can cook? Now, my dad is actually friends with a fellow YouTuber, someone who makes YouTube videos and has a YouTube channel. If you go on YouTube and search up a YouTube channel called blind grilling. You will get a YouTube channel of someone named Chris Peltz, who is a preacher in Missouri. He's a friend of my dad's. He is a blind man who barbecues meat and makes YouTube videos about it. But his whole shtick is basically, I'm blind and I make meat, which in a way is a little teensy bit hacky, but also good for him. You're blind, you gotta do something. You can't just listen to classical music all day, and you can't just pretend you're Ben Affleck in Daredevil. You've got to do something. Why not run a YouTube channel where you grill blindly? So for that, to Mr. Chris Peltz, the blind griller, I say, congratulations. You have grilled while blind. Anyway, I have one last story to tell you. The other day, as you know, as you'll find out at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time today on my YouTube channel, I've started a new series called Snapshot, where I take you through the process, for those who are interested, through the process of me setting up compositions and doing my photography work. A couple days ago, filmed an episode of Snapshot in advance. I filmed it, and it basically involved me going downtown near the flood wall area. Now, I was waiting for the light to get good, so basically there's a big parking lot. If you live in Paducah, you know this. There's a big parking lot right in front of the flood wall, and I'm just parked there waiting for the light to get right for the composition. So I'm sitting there, and I just drank a big cup of coffee because I know I was going to be there for a long time, so I wanted to be able to stay awake. I drank a big cup of coffee, so I have to pee bad. And also across the way, there's a parking lot, the flood wall, and then a road that sort of curves. And across the road from the parking lot, there's a public restroom. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the public restroom. I get out of my car, go through the parking lot, and then I'm about to cross the street to the public restroom. All fair, all well and good. But there's a car that is about to cross. So I'm like, all right, it's just easier for me to let them cross. And so I stop and I, make a little waving motion for the car to cross the street, and then I'll cross later. But instead, it slows down. In fact, it comes to a complete stop. I'm like, oh, okay, well, thanks. And I start walking across the street, and I, do a little, you put your hand up. It's almost like, not where you put your hand up for a high five, but halfway, but it almost looks like you're doing half of a Hail Hitler salute, but you just basically hey, what's up? I don't look at the car. I don't look who's in it. I just go hey, thanks. I'm walking, and I hear all the windows on this car roll down. I'm like, whoa, what are they gonna tell me something? And I assume that they actually recognize me, because actually, you'll be surprised how many. I'll just be out on the street walking around, and people will be from afar, Sergey! I'm like, huh? And I turn around, and it's someone from school that I've ran into once. So this is not out of the realm of possibility. They roll down the window, and I turn around, and what I see is 6 chicks, which, by the way, they're in a car that seats 5, 2 in the front, driver, passenger, and in the back. In the 3-seat area, there's 4 chicks, which, by the way, they are very attractive. They're like people you'd run into at a Florida beach. Super hot chicks. They look like they're 19, 20, something like that. They roll down their window, and I think they're gonna say, hey, Sergey, you're the guy from the videos, right? But no, they roll down the windows, and they start catcalling me. Meaning they roll down the windows at a complete stop in the middle of the road. All 6 super hot blonde chicks roll down the windows, and they go, hey, handsome. It's come on, handsome. And then, all of a sudden, I notice the cans of Miller Lite in their hands. And I didn't get too terribly good of a look at them. I got enough of a look at them to see, all right, they are attractive women. That is for sure. But I also got a good enough look at them to realize they're too young to be drinking those Miller Lights. And also, don't drink the Miller Lights while you're driving, please, because that is a recipe for disaster. A recipe for disaster which I would prefer to not get involved in. So they also begin to ask me if I want a ride. And I wholeheartedly said no, because I did not want to become the headline of a newspaper article wherein 7 people in a car that seated 5 crash into the nearby lake. I didn't want to be part of that news article. And I wanted to just stay away from that situation as much as I could. And even if I wanted to, obviously, it's a car full of 6 hot chicks. It's in the middle of summer. You're bored. Obviously, you want to get in with them. But my better judgment said, absolutely not. I don't want to get human trafficked. I obviously go, no thank you. And they go, loser, and then they just drive away, yelling into the wind. But that also reminds me of a story where I genuinely almost did get human trafficked. And the reason why I say that those chicks might have been trying to human traffic me was because I have read many, many true stories of men who have actually been human trafficked or kidnapped or at the very least mugged in that very same way. They were just walking down the street and you see in a car, oh, there's a hot chick. And she goes, hey, you want to ride? Implying that they want to hang out. You don't just want to ride. You want to do more than you want to ride, but not like in a car ride. And that's how you get human trafficked. And that's how you get mugged. Which I was only carrying like $12, but I still needed those $12 to get Dunkin' Donuts. So no, I said no. But that did remind me of a time where I genuinely think I almost got kidnapped, or at least became a target for human trafficking. And it was this. Last year, it was Thanksgiving break of 2019. Every Thanksgiving, we visit my grandparents on my dad's side up in Indiana. And they live in Muncie, Indiana, which is a small town. We visit them, and they decide, all right, we're going to go Christmas shopping. And there was actually a couple episodes ago, episode 7, I mentioned there was a cheerleader girl that I liked very much. And it was actually, I tagged along with them to the mall because I actually wanted to get her a Christmas present this Thanksgiving break. So I'm in FYE because I know, all right, this girl likes Panic at the Disco. I'm going to get her a Panic at the Disco vinyl LP, which I know she's going to love. So that's what I get her. But I'm also in FYE just looking, browsing the Blu-rays, browsing DVDs, browsing the cool stuff. And I'm facing a shelf, and from behind me, I'm minding my own business. From behind me, I hear in a whisper of a middle-aged female voice, I hear, he's a good one. And I go, what the heck? And I turn around real quick. And there are 2, 40-year-old ladies. By the way, not attractive. They're not like, oh, you're 40-year-old ladies, if you know what I mean. They're like 40-year-old ladies who you do not want to run into in a dark alley or in an FYE. And I look at them, and it's almost comical. It was literally like I turned around, and I saw them staring at me, and then when I turn around, I see their heads go, and just like, nothing to see here, totally wasn't eyeing you. It was almost like in a movie where that happens. So I'm like, what the heck? And I walk away. And as I'm walking away, I also hear in another middle-aged female voice, yeah, and he's cute too. And at that point, I was like, I've got my Pentatonics or Panic at the Disco vinyl for this cheerleader girl that I liked and I was involved with. I got it. Let's get out now. And so I left, and you can thank my judgment at that time for not getting human trafficked, and that is why, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to me right now. Thank you so much for listening to episode 9 of The Sound of Sergey. It means so much that you support me, that you support what I want to do, that you take the time out of your day to listen to me ramble about stuff that does not matter at all. Thank you so much. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Servanov_ and at Sergey_speaks. Make sure to tune in to The Sound of Sergey every Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time for more podcast content. Also, make sure to tune into the YouTube channel Servanov every Friday at 12 p.m. noon Central Standard Time. You will get a YouTube video. 1 week will be a photography video. 1 week will be the normal Sergey Speaks funny videos. The videos that make you laugh. The videos that make you forget that you recently broke up with your long-term girlfriend and that she cheated on you for the school drug dealer. And he also sent you death threats when you told that story. It will make you forget about those things. Be sure to tune into that. Thank you so much for listening to the Sound of Sergey podcast. This has been your host, Sergey Nikolaevich Ivanov, and I will see you next week.